So I found this story fascinating. Barbara Bush apparently has a book that's being released after her death. She thinks she's like Tupac or something. So listen to what's in it. Barbara Bush blamed Donald Trump for her heart attack. It wasn't technically a heart attack, though she called it that. It was a crisis in her long battle with congestive heart failure and chronic pulmonary disease that hit her like a sledgehammer one day in June 2016. An ambulance was called to take her to the hospital. The two former presidents, who had been at home with her that day, her husband and her oldest son, trailed in a car driven by the Secret Service. The tumultuous presidential campaign in general and Trump's ridicule of son Jeb Bush in particular had riled her, quote, angst, she told me. Bush's dislike of the president was hardly a secret. During the 2016 campaign, she said, I don't know how women could ever vote for him. But the fact that her whole party is marching to the beat of his drum had shaken her whole belief system. To the point that when she was asked whether she still considered herself a Republican in February 2018, she said, I'd probably say no today. What? Now, so this is Barbara Bush saying, no, I don't really even consider myself a Republican anymore because it's Trump's party and I'm not like that. But also, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me on this if I'm wrong, didn't H.W. Bush indicate that, like, he's not going to vote for Trump? Now, I don't know if he actually voted for Hillary, but I think he did not vote for Donald Trump. And it's weird because I don't know what to make of this story. Because on the one hand, the Bush family I despise. But on the other hand, they think they're taking some sort of moral principled stance against, like, oh no, this party's gone off the rails. But I feel like the details matter. Like, if they say the reason why they've gone off the rails is why I'm against them, if they bring up the issue of, like, okay, so Trump's, like, openly bigoted, and I'm not cool with that. We like to have our bigotry on the down low. We like to mask it a little bit, and we don't just come out and say it. And Trump says it, and we're against that. We're more polite. Okay, I mean, but really what I fear is if you talk to them and get specific answers, and you can't now because she's dead, but they would say, like, oh, we're against his tariffs. And like Cheney said recently, like, oh, we're against the fact that he does anti-war rhetoric while he still increases the wars, by the way. He's still doing them, and he's escalating there. So he's doing what they want him to do, but as he does it, he pretends like he's against it. So that's the thing, is like, the details matter as to why they're anti-Trump. And the reality is, anybody being anti-Trump is a good thing generally, because Trump is really the establishment's bitch and doing whatever they want. But it's almost like their criticism is, I want him to be even more bad and wrong and terrible. Except on the rhetoric front, where they want him to soften it and not be... Like, their whole thing is, I think, like, leadership. We're all about leadership. And they want somebody... And Jeb Bush said this recently in an interview. Like, we want somebody who's going to soothe the nation at times of crisis and stuff like that. And they just know Trump is a bomb thrower, and they don't like that. They don't like that angle of him. But, I don't know. The fact that, like, I feel like the last straws to them was the personal stuff. Like, oh, he called Jeb Bush low energy. Oh, now I'm having a heart attack. I'm not making fun of the heart attack. Let me just be clear. But, like, she's kind of saying, like, oh, yeah, the way he went after Jeb gave me angst, and then that led to my congestive heart failure, which wasn't technically a heart attack, but I had a heart episode. I don't know. That was always my favorite part of Trump, is when he's is when he was shitting on all the other Republicans, because he showed how everything was so farcical. Like, it's not like if you get rid of Trump, everybody on stage is so serious and they're so smart. Like, no, you had Marco Rubio, who's a fucking idiot. You had Ben Carson, who's asleep. You know, you had Jeb Bush, who's, you know, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he's just part of the Lucky Sperm Club, and that's why he's up there on stage. You had Ted Cruz, who's smarmy as all hell, and he lies nonstop. Like, they think that they could just say, Trump is everything wrong with the party, and without Trump, we'd all be great. But no, without Trump, you're the party of George W. Bush, and your son, George W. Bush, is a war criminal and an asshole, and he's wrong about pretty much everything. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings on the whole, like, we're taking a stand against Trump. Because it's good that they're actually, like, materially not backing Trump in the sense that they didn't vote for him and they wouldn't campaign for him and all that stuff. But really also what this shows is the flip side of the coin, which is I don't think they don't feel at home among the establishment Democrats. I think that they kind of agree with the establishment Democrats, which really gets to a theory that we've been talking about for a long time being correct, which is the divide in this country is not left versus right. The divide in this country is not Democrat versus Republican. The divide in this country is elitist versus the people. The divide in this country is the establishment versus working people. And I feel like this story, in a weird way, kind of buttresses that point. Because I think that H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush and the rest of them felt really totally at home, and they didn't feel bad at all. Like, I'll cast a vote for Hillary, because she's, on so many issues, she agreed with them. And in their mind, they might think, like, okay, so what? She's a little more socially progressive on gay rights and stuff like that. We can look past that. I honestly think that that's their belief. And I think that at least some of them, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was George W. Bush or H.W. Bush or Barbara Bush or maybe all of them or maybe two of them. I don't know. But I think some of them probably voted for Hillary Clinton. And weren't even upset doing it, you know? I think a lot of people on the left were more upset casting a vote for Hillary Clinton in a swing state, so they felt like they had to vote for Hillary to avoid the worst evil. But I think a lot of lefties were more upset casting that vote and didn't like it more so than anybody in the Bush family might have disliked it. And I think that says a lot about the state of the establishment Democrats. And Trump's election says a lot about the state of the Republicans. Trump is the Republican id, and he's come to life now, and they don't like that the mask has been ripped off the Republican Party, where all the bigotry was kind of soft-pedaled and there was sophistry around it to make it seem like it wasn't bigotry and you had plausible deniability, and then along comes this bullheaded moron who's like, yeah, we need a total and complete shutdown of Muslims. That's what we need. And they're like, we tried so hard to sound not bigoted while we did some bigoted policies, and you just fucking mask right off. I don't know, like Future. Mask on, fucking mask off. All right. Anyway, I've been babbling here, but Barbara Bush said Trump caused her heart attack. Is that true? I have no idea. You'd have to talk to a doctor, but it's kind of funny that, this family that's a pillar of Republican politics for so long and like really quintessential horrendous ideas that kind of screwed the country over, now they're clutching their pearls because like a more pure version of that has risen up.